and girls, I will be doing. Are we still doing quiet water? Are we still doing quiet water?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
Quiet water.
Yes. But it's
Okay.
fine.
Okay, I'm going to pick one student, and this person will start us later today. You're not going to do it now, but I will pick the one. Oh my goodness. We'll pick Redding. I think she was one of the first ones. Okay. Thank you. Have a seat.
Okay, boys and girls, I'm going to be doing our literacy lesson today. But before we get started, I forgot I ordered a package and it came to my house this morning. Do you care if we open it together?
Yes.
That would be okay.
If it's an iPhone 14, then yes. But
Okay, let's see if I can get this open. I might need some scissors. Might need some scissors first. Ooh!
What is it? Please, we have some rocks.
I forgot I got some cat treats for my cat.
Yummy!
I love cat treats. I eat them all the time.
Cat pencils?
Easter pencils. I wonder if I know any boys and girls that I could give pencils to.
All of us.
Oh,
Me,
myself,
I
and
do know
I.
25 boys and girls I could give pencils to. Okay, I will. If we do really good with this lesson, I'll give them out afterwards. Okay?
I'll be watching.
Do I need to get the talking stick? We're gonna do this. We're gonna use our talking stick. So you are only allowed to speak out if you are holding a stick, correct? Okay. So right now, I'm holding a stick, but my hands are full, so it's gonna sit by me. I got a cat toy, my little avocado. Remember, if you are blurting out, you're not gonna get the talking stick later. Oh, I love Magic Treehouse. Oh my goodness! Can I get this out of here? Stickers! Maybe we can use this later today. Alright, so boys and girls, I have a question. Do you know how we get packages and mail? Raise your hands. Donovan, how do we get packages and letters? The mailbox. Does anyone know? Raise your hand if you know how we get mail or how the mail works. Let's see, Ava.
A person will be inside a big van and they'd be passing out mail from box to box. And I think this time I don't think it was from the mailman. I think it was from the Easter Bunny.
That's true. It could be. So, boys and girls, hands down, we get our mail from other places, and it gets to us on boats. It travels on boats. It travels on planes. It travels on cars. It travels in trucks. It travels on all kinds of places, right? Okay. Well, I don't think you were here for this, but this is our talking stick, okay? Do what? Okay. Thank you. So, I want you, can you imagine if we mailed ourselves?
Yes,
That would be kind of silly. I want you to turn and talk to your friend about where you would go. What if I told you there was somebody who actually mailed themselves?
Yes, I know.
I didn't ask if you knew. Today, boys, we are going to learn about someone who actually mailed themselves. It is a true story.
He said they actually mailed themselves. It's not us.
this is our book that we're reading about Henry's Freedom Box. It is a true story, Wilder, Damien, and Cameron W. It is a true story, Parker. Do you need to move back to your seat?
No. This is where I sit.
I know. Do you need to scoot away? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we are going to start reading our book, but before we start, we're going to look at our objective. All right. Mirrors on. I can describe the character traits of Henry Brown using actions and dialogue from Henry's Freedom Box. Good. So we're going to be, while we read this book, I want you to think in your head, don't say it out loud. While we're reading, I want you to think of character traits, okay? Because we'll be talking about them afterwards. Yes.
Can I get a drink?
Not yet, okay? All right. I'll give you time for that later. Oh, sorry, mirrors off. I forget that sometimes. While we're reading this book also, I want you to be looking out for the word beckon. Repeat that after me. Beckon. So I want you to be looking out for that word. When you hear, you guys ready?
I mean, I guess, but
That's someone's real name. Is that kind to say someone's name is weird?
no, but
not
it's
kind.
weird. I'm the middle. I'm the last name Brown.
No, it's not. That's a very common name, and that's not very kind. Class in class.
What's called freedom?
Thank you. While we are reading this book, what word are you looking for? Beckoned. When you hear me say the word beckoned, I want you to raise your hand up high. Don't use your voices. I just want to see your hands up high when you hear the word, all right? So let's read our book. I'm going to play a video so y'all can follow along while I read.
Henry's Freedom.
But we're not going to listen to him. We're just going to listen to me. Okay. Henry's Freedom Box. Henry Brown wasn't sure how old he was. Henry was a slave, and slaves weren't allowed to know their birthdays. Henry and his brothers and sisters worked in a big house where the master lived. Henry's master had been good to Henry and his family, but Henry's mother knew things could change. Do you see those leaves blowing in the wind? They are torn from trees like slave children are torn from their families. One morning, the master called for Henry and his mother. They climbed the wide staircase. The master lay in bed with only his head above the quilt. He was very ill. He beckoned them to come closer. Oh!
Iggy the master was...
Let's pause there. So who heard the word beckon? All right, I want you to show me, with your hands, not your mouths, how you would tell someone to come near you, come over to you, without using your voice, with your hand. Use your hand or your head. Let me see that. I would be like this. Let me see, Cameron and Damien, let me see, how would you call someone over to you without using your voices? Yeah, like maybe you could do a little finger, wave your hand. Oh. Well, boys and girls, beckoned means to make a gesture with your arm, your hand, or your head to encourage someone to come near you. So beckon means that motion that we just did, right? So let's read it again. One morning, the master called for Henry and his mother. They climbed the wide staircase. The master lay in bed with only his head above the quilt. He was very ill. He beckoned them to come closer. All right, you can put your hands down. Some slaves were freed by their owners. Henry's heart beat fast. Maybe the master would set him free. But the master said, "You are a good worker, Henry. I am giving you to my son. You must obey him and never tell a lie." Henry nodded, but he did not say thank you. That would have been a lie. Later that day, Henry watched a bird soar high above the trees. Free bird, happy bird, Henry thought. Henry said family. He looked across the field. The leaves swirled in the winds. Boys and girls, what did his mother say about leaves? Raise your hand if you remember what his mother said about leaves. Amelia.
She said that they blow in the wind like ripped away from the tree.
Yes.
Like the children are ripped away from the.
And what is happening? What happened in our last page? Hold on. I think we might have missed the page. Let's go back. Okay, here in this page, he's saying goodbye to his family. So why, raise your hand, why would we talk about the leaves swirling in the wind? Parker? Okay, that's okay. Donovan?
Because torn from the tree is just like similar to the torn from the fan.
Yeah, so now we're talking about leaves because he's seeing those leaves as he is being torn from his family. Alright. Henry worked in his new master's factory. He was good at his job. "Do not tear that tobacco leaf," the boss yelled at the new boy. He poked the boy with a stick. If you made a mistake, the boss would beat you. Henry was lonely. One day, he met Nancy, who was shopping for her mistress. They walked and talked and agreed to meet again. Henry felt like singing, but slaves didn't dare sing in the streets. Instead, he hummed all the way home. Months later, Henry asked Nancy to be his wife. When both their masters agreed, Henry and Nancy were married. Soon there was a little baby, then another, and another. Henry knew that they were very lucky. They lived together even though they had different masters. But Nancy was worried. Her master had lost a great deal of money. "I'm afraid he will sell our children." "I'm afraid he will sell our children," she said. Henry sat very still. Henry worked hard all morning. He tried to forget what Nancy had said. Friend James came into the factory. He whispered to Henry, "Your wife and children were just sold into slave market." "No!" cried Henry. Henry couldn't move. He couldn't think. He couldn't work. "Twist that tobacco," the boss poked at Henry. Henry twisted tobacco leaves. His heart twisted in his chest. At lunchtime, Henry rushed to the center of town. A large group of slaves were tied together. The owner shouted at them. Henry looked for his family. "Father! Father!" Henry watched his children disappear down the road. Where was Nancy? He saw her at the same moment she saw him. When he wiped away his tears, Nancy too was gone. Henry no longer sang. He couldn't hum. He went to work, and at night he ate supper and went to bed. Henry tried to think of happy times, but all he could see were the carts carrying away everyone he loved. Henry knew he would never see his family again. Many weeks passed. One morning, Henry heard singing. A little bird flew out of a tree into the open sky, and Henry thought about being free. Do you remember when he said "free bird, happy bird" earlier, and he thought about being free? We're saying that again. So the bird in this story represents freedom. All right? But how? As he lifted a crate, he knew the answer. He asked James and Dr. Smith to help him. Dr. Smith was a white man who thought slavery was wrong. They met early the next day at an empty warehouse. Henry arrived with a box. "I will mail myself to a place where there are no slaves," he said. James stared at the box, then at Henry. "What if you coughed and someone hears you?" "I will cover my mouth and hope," Henry said. Dr. Smith wrote on the box, "To William H. Johnson, Arch Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Henry would be delivered to friends in Philadelphia. Then he printed on the crate in big letters.
Attention teachers, please check your group me. According to the picture day schedule, we will call you down when we are ready. It might be before your scheduled time, but it also might be after. I'd rather have you teaching than waiting. Thank you.
Henry needed an excuse to stay home, or the work boss would think he had run off. James pointed to Henry's sore finger, but Henry knew it wasn't bad enough. He opened a bottle of oil of vitriol. Vitriol is a chemical that was very painful, so that was very painful to pour on a wound, okay? Now the boss would have to let him stay home. Dr. Smith bandaged Henry's hand. They arranged to meet the next morning at 4 o'clock. The sun was not up yet when Henry climbed in the box. "Ready," he said. Do we have to cut out? Okay. James nailed down the lid. Dr. Smith and James drove to the station. The railway clerk tipped the box over and nailed a paper to the bottom. Dr. Smith begged the clerks to be careful, but they didn't dare listen. They threw the box into the baggage car. Ouch. Hours passed. Henry was lifted up and thrown again, upside down. He heard waves splashing. This must be the steamboat headed for Washington, D.C. The ship rode smoothly, but Henry was still upside down. Wow. Upside down that whole time.
I hope he didn't get claustrophobic.
He heard waves splashing. This must be the steamboat headed for Washington, D.C. The ship rode smoothly, but Henry was still upside down. Blood rushed to his head. His face got hot, his eyes ached. He thought his head would burst, but he was afraid to move. Someone might hear him. "I'm tired of standing," someone said. "Why don't we move that box and sit on it?" said another. Henry held his breath. Could they be talking about his box? Henry was pushed. The box scraped the deck. Ooh, we got a little too off. Let's go. "Why don't we move that box and sit on it?" said another. Henry held his breath. Could they be talking about his box? Henry was pushed. The box scraped the deck. Now he was on his right side, now on his left. And suddenly, right side up. Whew. "What do you think is in here?" said the first man. "Mail, I guess," said the other. "I am mail," Henry thought, but not the kind they imagined. Henry was carried off the steamboat and placed into a railroad car. This time, head up. He fell asleep to the rattling song of the train wheels. He awoke to a loud knocking. "Henry, you all right in there?" "All right," he answered. The cover was pried open. Henry stretched and stood up. 4 men smiled at him. "Welcome to Philadelphia." At last, Henry had a birthday, March 30th, 1849. His first day of freedom. And from that day on, he also had a middle name. Henry Fox Brown. Look at that! Oh, classity class. All right, give me 1 second. We'll talk about the book soon. So, as we can see, Henry was a very brave man. He was a very brave man, right? And he encouraged other slaves to travel to freedom. So I want you to listen to this, okay? In the mid-1800s, there was about 4 million slaves in the United States. Slaves were owned like tables or cows or wagons. Historians believe that between 60,000 and 100,000 slaves escaped to freedom traveling on what was called the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad wasn't a real railroad. It was all the secret ways slaves made their way from the south to the north. They had in cars, rode on horseback, walked hundreds of miles through forests and swamps, and crossed flowing rivers into the summer and ice-bound rivers in winter. So he encouraged other slaves to travel to freedom. All right? Now, I want us to talk about how this book made us feel. I want you to raise your hand and tell me how this book made you feel. Let's see. Cameron T, how this book made you feel? Angry? Why would this book make you feel angry?
Because he was being pushed over, and if I was in the box, I would probably got
over. He had a hard journey, but it was also sweet because now he has a birthday, and it was his first day of freedom, right? Boys and girls, I want to give you an example of one time that I felt bittersweet. When my brother moved to college, he moved to Colorado. My brother lives in Colorado now because he went to college. I was very, very sad when he moved. Very sad, but I was also proud of him because he got into college and he made that journey. I was very proud, but I was also very sad to not see him as much, right? So I want you to turn and talk to your partner. Turn and talk to your partner about a time that you felt bittersweet about something. Time that you felt bittersweet. Personality. It's all kinds of things. It's our words that we say. Now, can someone tell me what an outside character trait is? Let's see. Who haven't I talked to? Reading. Do what? An outside. Not what we do. Anyone else have another idea? Who haven't I talked to? Diana. Wait, did I just talk to you?
Yeah.
Okay, it's okay. Sorry. What was your answer? Right on it. What you look like, what you wear. So let's talk about our outside character traits first, boys and girls. Outside, I'm gonna pick one. I think I see Henry having worn clothes. He has worn clothes. They're not new clothes. They're old clothes. They have holes. They were ripped. And that is because he was a slave, and slaves did not make money for their work. So he didn't have money to spend on clothes. So my outside character trait is worn clothes. My inside character trait, is going to be, I think he was resilient. Say that word with me. Resilient. That means that even in the hard times, he found hope and he found happiness. So he was resilient. I want you to turn to your partner and find one inside and one outside character trait, and then we will share out afterwards. So let's do that. One inside, one outside. Wilder, how about you pair up right here? You have to participate. Okay, Willow, can you come up here for me? No, sir. I'm sorry. Sorry, we're fighting a trait about Henry. No, that's my fault. Sorry, you're fighting a trait about Henry to write on the board. We need to find an inside and an outside character trait. All right, I need Aubrey or Avery to share an inside and outside character trait. Now, close your eyes to see. Inside and outside character trait.
I said for the outside, his shoes, because they always have holes in them.
So old shoes.
And
Okay, let's use the talking stick. All right, because I'm hearing lots of chatter, and we need to be focused on our friends who are talking.
and the inside is
Hold on 1 second.
his heart.
On the inside, his heart. Why his heart? What about his heart?
Because he's crying.
So remember that we need to. So
But
kind.
he's also
Kind is a good one.
But he's also sad because his wife and his kids are
Yes. So do you want to do kind or sad? Pick one. Kind. Great. All right, Aubrey, if you will hand the talking flower to Parker. Parker and Alejandro, what did you come up with? What was your outside trait?
I said he's black.
Yes. Yes. Correct. Yes. That's great. Now what about an inside? Brave. That's wonderful. I love that trait. Brave. All right, Parker, I would like you to hand that to Ava. Ava and Brody.
And me.
Oh, you in that group as well? What did you three come up with? What was your outside trait?
It was the same thing as Parker and Alejandro.
Okay.
So
That's okay.
I did African American is because he was a slave and
Donovan and Logan.
he was also brave because he nailed himself to
Yes, so brave. So brave. All right. You can go ahead and hand it to this group. What did you girls come up with?
he's kind and he was independent and he was like he was very nice and
Hold on 1 second. We got some talking. Damien and Cameron, W. We should be listening. Okay? You're not listening. You're talking. Yes, but did I say that you're allowed to talk while you don't have the talking stick, right? Okay. Who has a talking stick? I don't have it. Adley and Merritt have the talking stick. So they are the ones talking right now.
Wait, how do two people have it?
Because they're in partner. You've got to listen, baby. All right, girls, what was your outside character trait?
That he is nice and he is independent.
So that's your inside, right?
Yeah.
Nice and independent. So I'll write independent because I love that one. What was it? Our outside trait.
The outside thing was when he
So outside, remember, is how we look, what we see of somebody. A good. He did. He has a white shirt on. Good job. All right. Hand that flower to the next group for me. I want you to go ahead and hand it to Redding and Diana. What did you guys say an outside trait was? Yes, he does have brown eyes. That is wonderful. Thank you. All right, what about inside? Oh, he is respectful. He have brown what?
Pants.
What about hair? Can we do that? Yeah, blackish brownish hair. Good color usage.
And yours has malleable.
He was what?
And malleable.
That's a beautiful word. Can you tell us what that means?
Like, people can look up to him.
What a wonderful trait. I love it. Alrighty. Can you hand it to this group for me? Perfect. What did you guys come up with? Will you tell me? What was the outside trait of Henry? SC and Connor. Outside, what we see. Yes. Yes, we got that one. Now, what was the inside trait? Kind. All right, we already have those two, but those are great. Thank you. Well, I don't know if he showed gratitude, right? That's a great word. Can you share us what that word means? Gratitude. We're listening to what she's saying. Listen to Essie. What does that mean, Essie? So it means grateful, right? He was very grateful for the help of the doctor and his friend James, right? He was also very grateful to the men in Philadelphia who welcomed him, right? He was very grateful for all of his help to get there. Alrighty, if you can hand that right here to Tristan, behind you. Tristan, I know your partner's not here, but what did you guys talk about? He is brave. Do they know that? Do you know what a synonym is for brave? What's another word for brave? Synonym? Bravery. Can someone raise their hand and tell me a synonym for brave? Avery? Bold. That was wonderful. We could use that, right, Tristan? That would work? Perfect. Perfect. All right, Tristan, what about an outside? Did you have any new outside ones? I think we probably hit most of them. We've kind of got all the outside traits, right? I think we might be out of...
He had a big family.
Yeah? But is that what we see on him? When we look at Henry, you don't see him in his family, right? You just see him, right? But that's a really great one. He does have a family. All right. Thank you, Tristan, so much. All right, girls. What you got for me? He was helpful. Yeah. He was helpful. How was he helpful? Yes. Helpful. Now, instead of helpful, could we use the word inspiring? Yeah, I think that would also match.
Second grade teachers, they're ready for you in the cafeteria.
All right. It is picture time. Hold on. Have a seat. Have a seat. Have a seat, please. Have a seat. I will write a couple more of your thoughts on this paper, but I want us to go ahead and wrap it up. Let's remember our objective for today. We looked at character traits on the inside and the outside of Henry. Have a seat. All right. We looked at character traits, and we looked at them from the text. We found them from the book. I'm so proud of you guys. Thank you for working so hard. All right, we can wrap it up.
Okay. All right, class to class.
Yes,
Yes. Oh, a happy face one.
Oh, yeah!
two go to the end. I need to talk.